love that.
I say
Now you
that
know I
is
gotta.
awesome.
As soon as
I
this is
love it.
over, I'm gonna have to go and rewind and see what that looks like. We don't have anyone in the room just yet. Everyone check to make sure that they are posted. That was really nice. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Yeah.
Oh no, you deserve it. That and more. So whatever I got is
It
yours.
did. It did. It did. Oh, wow. All right. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for jumping in on this live. This is Things That People Don't Want to Talk About, brought to you by me, God Level. I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri, down here right now, home of the St. Paul's. If you know, you know. I am a mother, I'm a nurse, I'm a podcaster, an entrepreneur. I am everything good. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
John Nicholson here, aka John Skywalker, the Sly Talker, lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and father. Uh, the music that you are hearing in the background right now is from one of my hip hop albums. I have three hip hop albums: conscious, positive, uplifting, motivating, a little quirky, clever. This is real lyricism, guys. So if you guys are looking for that kind of hip hop, you should plug in. Look for John Skywalker on all streaming platforms: Tidal, Amazon, Apple. John Skywalker, you'll find me. Plug in. Salute.
Salute. King Newborn, you want to go ahead and represent yourself? We can hear you breathing. What happened? We can hear you. Yeah, thank you. All right, well, we're going to come back to you. I want to go ahead and welcome again our newest guest, not guest, co-host, Sabah Diamond. You want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Greetings, Itiam Hetep. That means I welcome you in peace. I am Saba Diamen, Saba of African Spiritual Science at Karash Unity Center of African Spiritual Science. Also, teacher, facilitator of Meeting of the Masters, uh, life coach, spiritual counselor, uh, personal trainer, and nutritionist, and much more, but we'll leave it at that. So, thank
Oh,
you
no,
for having me.
no. Always promote yourself and put out everything that you do.
Put out
Everything.
everything. Okay. Well,
Everything.
I'm gonna have to write it all down so I can read
Yeah.
it. And,
Yeah.
okay.
John doesn't play when it comes to promoting
I
himself.
see. I
Yeah, he
see.
does not play. I'm like my brother. I keep it simple. You know, I'm a nurse. I do this podcast. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mother. I am everything good. I like that.
I
I like that
see.
ending. Okay, well, while we wait for my brother to join us, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Tonight's topic. Oh, well, hold on. I think that's him.
Still can't hear nothing. Yeah,
You
we can
can't
hear
hear
you.
us. We can hear you just fine. Okay,
Yeah, you can
my
hear
brother's
us.
having a little technical difficulties. Your
Yeah.
internet service is 10 out of 10. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Probably should check his speaker
Settings,
settings. Yeah, his
Yeah,
speaker
check
settings.
your settings.
audio output.
Is your mic on? Well, your mic is on because we can hear you. And we can hear, well, while he figure out what's going on, we're going to go ahead and get started. Tonight's topic is hypertension. We're going to be this particular topic is near and dear to me because I'm a nurse. I work with a lot of older adults. It's called geriatrics, and I've
Well,
noticed that a lot of them, what do you say? A lot of them have hypertension, And if you don't know what it is, then that's why you should be sitting right here so we can talk about it and discuss it. Hypertension is a common condition in which the long-term force of the blood against your artery wall is high enough that it eventually leads to heart disease. Now, if you can picture a straw, and on the inside of that straw is a fence, when your pressure is up and that blood is flowing through that vessel, it is literally eroding away the straw, the fence on the inside of the straw, which can actually which will lead
Hello,
to,
hello, hello.
yes, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, you good? You good now?
I'm assuming so. If you said you can hear me,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can hear you.
okay,
You
You
cool.
can
can
tell
hear
people
us. You
can
just
hear me.
yeah.
All right, cool, cool.
Yeah, you already know I'm nervous.
There you go.
Stop talking several times already. All right. Where was I at? It will eventually lead to heart disease. Now, when those little cracks get into your artery, that can cause aneurysms, heart attacks, and it can also cause strokes. We're going to talk about that number a little bit because that blood pressure is broken up into two numbers. Your systolic and your diastolic. The systolic measures the pressure in your arteries in which your heart beats. The diastolic, which is the second number, the bottom number, measures the pressure between your beats. A normal blood pressure is less than 120 over 80. Anything above that, you might want to start to check yourself. Go see the doctor, check your stress level, the food you're eating, because the risk factors is a mile long. For people who have high blood pressure or risk for hypertension, smoking, being overweight, obese, lack of physical exercise or activity, too much salt in your diet, alcohol, stress, old age, and genetics. Here's I hate to call it a fun fact. Thank you, brother, for putting that up there. African Americans are twice as likely as whites to have high blood pressure, and Black women are the highest after the age of 65. Anybody want to add anything to this before I keep going? Mm. All right. Now, oh, oh, because I was
No,
going to.
no. Yeah, I was just gonna say of all hypertensive and high blood pressure cases,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the African American or Black community make up 50%, 56% of
Okay.
that of all the cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's and that's against all other races share the rest of what's left, but we make up 56% of those cases.
Oh
So
wow.
we have the majority of it.
Okay. Let's go
Um,
in. Go ahead.
just to we want to make a slight distinction here to the audience that high blood pressure typically is an event, right? It's a condition. So we're not talking about hypertension being a disease per se. We're just saying it's a condition. Oh, and a caveat. We do not have masters or doctorates in any of this. We are just having a discussion here. So we're students just as much as we are propagators of the information. So we're really just trying to raise awareness here in this discussion, and even provide some recommendations in order to treat this and prevent it. All right, but when we're talking about hypertension, we're talking about a condition. And so we want to clarify something here that high blood pressure in and of itself isn't necessarily bad. Of course, there are levels to it, but I want to make a distinction here. When you are exercising, your blood pressure does increase. So technically, you have elevated or high blood pressure, depending on the level of exertion in your activity in exercise. So the reason why this is important is, your muscles need more oxygen when it's exercising, right? So We got to produce energy, right, through the muscle. So um, you're going to need oxygen to produce that energy. So we want to make a distinction here that it's not necessarily just, it's not bad. Like if you pick up a couch, if you pick up a chair, you pick up a lamp, throw it across the room. If you're stressed out, you can have bouts of high pressure. But what we're really indicating here is when you're at rest, you're not physically exerting yourself, you're not in a stressful environment, you're not in a toxic environment. Um, we're talking about when you're at rest and your blood pressure is high. So that's kind of a well, that's not kind of, it is. It's a signal or a symptom of alarm. Something for you to look at. All right, hey, why is my heart beating so fast and I'm not lifting anything?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be clogged arteries. It could be that you're having a panic attack, right? But whatever the
Yeah.
condition is, we're not saying that it's necessarily bad, but we do want to make that distinction right there. Your body should return, or your body's heart rate, blood pressure should return back to normal after a certain bout of exercise or after physical exertion, after the stress event. Your or your blood pressure. Why I keep saying heart rate? Your blood pressure should return back to normal levels after those events.
Yes. Okay. Can we talk about signs and symptoms?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go first. Um, Headaches, shortness of breath, nosebleed, irregular beat. I'm sorry. Vision changes, buzzing in ears, lightheadedness, and fainting
Hmm.
are associated with high blood pressure.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
When I say the medication list for this stuff is a mile long, I I had to stop.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Brother,
and
you
we have to talk
go
about
ahead.
the effects of the effects of the medication itself. Some medication will block your body's ability to absorb potassium, which leads to
Hmm.
heart dysrhythmia, and so then you have to get into a potassium supplement also to increase that. So this is why you definitely want to do what Brother John was just talking about. Take those measures of exercise, mind your diet, and things like that in order to deal with these. But the symptoms itself, every symptoms, heart hypertension is a symptom of cardiovascular disease. It's a symptom, so a lot of times what happens is there's still a deeper thing. We
Hmm.
got two major things that also contribute to it, that a lot of times um, tend to be tend to have it more of a chronic illness than something that's more acute. And so it sometimes it can seem that exercise and diet uh, isn't enough,
Hmm.
and so these two conditions and are atherosclerosis
Yeah,
and
that part.
arteriosclerosis. So atherosclerosis is the clogging of the arteries. So
Hmm.
that's due to plaque. I'm sorry, am I jumping ahead, beloved? I don't.
No, because that's
Okay,
perfect. Where because I you have to tell them where the plaque comes from.
yeah. So
Okay, go
so
ahead.
we're talking about elevated cholesterol levels,
Mm-hmm.
high trans fat in the blood, trans fatty acids, and that comes from saturated fat. Saturated fat in your diet is any fat that turns solid at room temperature. So mostly coming from animal fat. All right. So even if you're eating meats, they need to be as lean as possible,
Yes.
or a lot of that is going to clog up the arteries.
Mm.
All right. So what we're looking at is uh, uh, that's one form of it because it narrows the opening in your arteries, and so that builds up pressure. So that itself can do it. But then there's also arteriosclerosis. And arteriosclerosis is the hardening of the arteries themselves when they lose their flexibility. So that itself, so every time our heart beats, the veins or the arteries expand a little and come back. So they have this flexibility. They're very elastic and they're also strong. But when they lose that elasticity, they become more rigid. And so all of that pressure that the heart puts on and onto the inside of the arterial walls is not being absorbed by the flexibility of the arteries. And so what happens is then that itself creates a problem, and that pushes blood back into the chambers of the heart. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then let alone what this does to the heart, which we'll talk about that in a minute. What the overall effects on the heart is, and we'll talk about other factors too as we move along.
I have no idea who this Facebook user is. Go ahead and drop your name so we can give you a shout out. Stage one hypertension is systolic pressure ranging from 130 to 139. Diastolic pressure 80 to 89. Stage two hypertension, more severe hypertension. Stage two, shaking my head, that's me. You know what, brother?
I love
Just,
it.
just stop. Just, you know, just
Go ahead, keep dropping
I'm
it.
done. Yeah,
Keep dropping
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Why did he wait to do? Why did he put that all up that up there? That's
Mm.
fine though. My brother just
The
posted
purpose
it on there.
first of all, I'm sorry. Peace, 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 peace. I know I only said
Yeah,
it three times for knowledge, wisdom, understanding. But the purpose of me saying this time, multiple times, because I was late for intro due to technical difficulties. But anyway, though, peace to each one of you beautiful people that's on this panel today. Much love
I
to God
say,
level for
peace,
bringing
brother.
this together, and we having this discussion
Mhm.
once again. Things that people don't want to talk about. Hypertension. As
Yeah.
always, I'm King Newborn. This is uh I'm King Newborn, and follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn every. And again, like always, I am. But behind that, the things that you see popping up in the messaging are things that I just quickly Googled and want to
yes.
add to the show. But everything that's been said is great information, very well detailed and researched. So it's definitely something to consider. Real quick spill, then I'm gonna go back mute again so I continue to listen and learn more about this. As I always say to one of these beautiful people on the panel, I know a little bit about a lot, so therefore I'm still learning as we grow as well on each and every one of these particular topics. But I want to point out hypertension will destroy a man's family if you are a CDL holder. Number one way to get
Mm.
restricted from receiving a DOT medical card. A lot of people feel like truck drivers are not people, period, or they have to go through certain regiments in order to even drive a truck. Um, and that's important. You know, like I said, you either get a medical card based on the fact, do if you got a stage 1, 2, or 3. If you're stage 1, they might give you a 6 month. I'm sorry, a 1 year medical card. Normally, a medical card max is 2 years, but if you're a stage 1, the doctor himself can say, hey, you need to lose weight, change the diet, get more exercise, go walking, things of that nature. And that's at stage 1. Stage 2, you could be dropped down to a 6 month. Um, you can be dropped down to a 6 months medical card. And stage 3, it's 50-50. It's up to the doctor. The doctor can say we can do a 3 month medical card, or if you can come back to me in 30 days and lose maybe 10, 15 pounds and show some type of progress, and then I'll put you on a 3 month medical card. But you got to come back and see me again in 3 months. And doing this, it does take away from a man's making his earning, because you always have to go to the doctor to see about whether or not he can go back to work to provide for his family. So,
Mm.
my sister, God level, has pointed out that it's a very, very, very important topic to her, and the fact that she is a licensed nurse. um, this is also an
Love
important
it.
topic
I'm
to as
pouting.
well. It's an important topic to me as well, because I currently do have a 2 year medical. Prior to this, I had reached a weight level that the doctor didn't 2 year. It told me I had to do a 3 month on top of he wanted me to do a sleep study. and it was due to the fact that he felt neck circumference was too fat. I was too thick.
Mm.
Uh, but I respect that. I asked, "Do you have an African scale?" And his face got a little flush, but knowledge is power. Anyway, I combated that. I did my 3 month and went back, got it done again, and I can say that I have my 2 year now, so I'm at peace with that. But my journey hasn't stopped at that. That's my spiel. Again, this King Newborn. You can see me on Newborn Everything, and I hope the rest of the night, my man Diamond says, it is peaceful, blessed, beloved.
Yeah.
I
I
love
say,
it.
King.
Peace.
I say.
I love it. That was very detailed. I seen that and I was like, do I write all of that down? Do I talk about it? Or do we gonna hit the facts? Are we gonna have that discussion? Are we gonna bring it up in discussion? And it did. It came up in discussion. Whatever I don't know, I best believe somebody on my panel does. Whatever I'm not saying, best believe someone on my panel will. So I love it. Thank you, brother.
I
Thank you.
say.
All right. Who wants to lead the way on this? Do we have, wait a minute. First off, do we have anyone that wants to call in phone conversations concerning hypertension, how it may have been affecting you or someone close to you that you love? What changes have been implemented in your household or with you to get your pressure down, medication wise, because sometimes you have to be on like several different types of medications in order to help get your pressure down. And also they will put you on two different types, multiple medications to help get your pressure down. Um, so yeah, that's what I want to know. If anyone out there wants to share their story, greatly appreciated. Other than that, brothers, y'all have anything y'all want to add? Huh? Why does it say
Yeah,
Facebook user?
absolutely. I'm pretty sure that just working in the field of fitness and health field as well as the medical field,
Mm.
there's many of experiences I've had encountering this particular condition, and as Brother John called it, it is absolutely a condition. And when we think about conditions, that means there's a repetition of an introduction of some component that causes this particular condition, and it makes it a fact. First becomes an acute thing, to where, but then it becomes chronic after a while. I've seen cases where it was quite a struggle turning these numbers around, and especially when you get the diastolic to go up, because that diastolic is literally the pressure that the
Mm-hmm.
arterial walls put back onto the bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the systolic, boom, the pulse out, the diastolic will be the
Yeah.
pulse in,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so that diastolic number, when that gets high, it is absolutely a cause for concern. I've seen the top number go up, the
Mm-hmm.
systolic number go up, and the diastolic still stayed 80 or less,
Same.
you know. But I've seen it to where they were proportionate. So as the systolic went up, the diastolic also went up. You can bet that you're encroaching upon a very dangerous situation when you see that happen, you know. And so in that case, we're literally talking about a form of athero and arterial sclerosis, and we're talking about something chronic, another component that may be introduced. So regardless of the amount of exercise, and even with hypertension, you have to be careful of what type of exercise you're importing
Ooh.
into your regimen, because some forms of exercise can actually make it worse. I've
Yeah.
seen 3 incidents where we have people that's built like the kings here on this panel, and but I've seen them just doing bicep curls drop dead on the spot.
Mm.
Drop there's an effect where the blood pressure goes up from doing resistance training, and the higher the resistance, the higher the blood pressure. And so if you're already dealing with hypertension and then you increase it through that type of exercise, then you will drop dead on the spot. So then what type of exercise is good for it? You can also help me out with this, John, please.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm,
so we're talking about forms of functional training, and out which is leads to cardiovascular training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Minimize the heavy or intense
Yeah.
heavy weightlifting. Is
Yeah.
that correct, Duran?
Intensity. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to
Mhm.
be mindful of the intensity of the exercise. Yes, indeed.
Yes, absolutely. And also make sure it's better to do an exercise that actually lowers the stress. So something you
Mm.
enjoy,
Yeah.
not something that you're going to that you're combating against from a subconscious level. That's going to raise the blood pressure. You know.
okay,
Yes,
now
ma'am.
that I have a question. We have two personal trainers on here. What exercise would you recommend for someone who is suffering from high blood pressure?
Well, that depends on like what are their limitations, because everybody's like, we got to assume, right? We got to make
Yeah,
some very sweeping assumptions here. So
right. That's a
somebody
lot.
that yeah, like someone who has like a bone brittle disease, or someone
Mm-hmm.
who has like muscle spat, it's going to depend, but let's just presume that the
Depending on the
body is fully
person.
functioning. Yeah, let's just presume that the person is just overweight, body's fully functioning. People really downplay walking. Walking, if you build it up right, if you set it up right, it could be very instrumental in not only just weight management, but a medley of other health benefits. But I would always recommend that first before you even start, because it's inexpensive. You can walk anywhere. I don't even recommend getting a treadmill. You don't even have to do that, because I mean, especially if you're melanated, go and get some of that. But understand, again, environmental conditions. All right, cool. Walking is always a good starting place. But in terms of like physical training, I mean, you want
Mm-hmm.
something that's going to give you some endurance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like Saba Diamin said, you want to kind of gravitate towards activities that are enjoyable. For me, it was walking first, then it was
Mm-hmm.
jogging, then it was running, then it was cycling. Oh man, I developed a passion. Now I still got my gear, I just don't cycle as much. Then it was hit training because I wanted a challenge. But hit training isn't something that you just recommend off the bat. I mean, you could
Right.
if the person is conditioned, but if they're deconditioned, all right, hey, let's just get you. All right.
There are
I
prerequisites to hit training. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So hey, you can go kayaking, yes, swimming, right? You
Yes,
can go swimming.
swimming.
But the idea is, whatever your activity is, steady state activities, where like
Mm-hmm.
walking, elliptical, cycling, and you can do sports too, but again, that's going to depend on the other factors, like what's your mobility like, what's your speed like, right? I know some elders over at the YMCA, they're 60 plus years old, they playing pickleball, and that's their cardio, right? That's their cardiovascular exercise. You got some that
Yes.
play tennis. um and then I graduated into taekwondo, but again, it's going to depend on your physical capabilities. So whenever you're just trying to get started, go for steady state and then move up. Preferred, 30 minutes starting off. Just, I mean, you could go lower than that just to really get
Mm-hmm.
acclimated. But
Right.
if you really want to make a significant impact, you want to aim
Mm-hmm.
for at least 30 minutes starting off. Give yourself a break the next day, and then get back into it. You're just trying to warm up into it. Your intensity should be progressive. And then yeah,
Build up. Yeah.
aim for like walking for an hour. If you can walk for an hour on your first try, all right, cool. Recovery is important too. So that's, again, like we were
Mm-hmm.
saying in the beginning, with high blood pressure, recovery is a key ingredient here. So
Yes.
we're performing these activities, right? We're circulating this energy, and think, and also consider this, metabolism. Metabolism is important, the economy of your energy. So you're going to perform these activities for a certain duration. You should be coming right back down to your baseline,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Yeah.
homeostasis. You go up and you should be returning back here. If the exercise that you are doing brings you up and this is your baseline, but when you come back down, it's here, and then you go up again and it comes back down, something's not right. You got to check that. So
Hmm.
mindfulness is definitely important here. But this is why we hire professionals to monitor
I
those
say
types of things, because sometimes people get into the motion, but they're not really cognizant of all these variables that are important. So
that's right.
a baseline is important when you're beginning any treatment plan. Just, hey, what are we dealing with first? Let's inventory the conditioning of the organism of the person here. Let's inventory that. All right, this is what we got. Then you administer the treatment. It's methodical. Okay. You administer the treatment to see if there's going to be a change. So if you're doing this exercise, I don't know, let's just say you decided, hey, John, I'm going to go jogging. You ain't really been jogging like that. And a week later, you're like, John, I got an injury. Whoa, what happened? I think I went too hard. First couple of sessions is, oh gosh, what did you do? I ran as hard as I could. Oh man, you for both all three times. So you actually made it worse, right? There was no self monitoring, and more importantly, there was no self correcting. You just kept going. Oh, John, I got a pain in my knee, and you just kept going and kept going, and you're just like, oh, and you start putting these false beliefs in your head, or they're true, but they were inappropriate. Oh
Hmm.
man, John, I messed up my knee because you got to push through the pain. You got to push through the pain. Not that kind of pain. So now you injured yourself, and you just made your condition worse. So now you got hypertension and you got a messed up knee.
That's right. I,
Oh
I
my
do.
gosh.
I do want to clarify that when we're talking about exercise as a form of physical activity, it's only one form.
Hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
and this is the extreme form of physical activity. The goal here is to get active. The goal
Hmm.
here is to get active, meaning as opposed to sitting or laying on the couch. So get out, get walking, whether going grocery shopping, going walking at the park, walking on the beach, and things like that for a sustained amount of time. And see, J Love, hello J Love, how you doing, beloved? Um, she put 90 minutes or more. Actually, it doesn't take that long. Anything over 20 minutes is good. 20 minutes or more. 90
Okay.
minutes what might be a bit extreme for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I would say between 20 to 60 minutes
Hmm.
of sustained activity is actually good enough to make some good changes. All right.
Hmm.
So, but understand that we're talking about all forms of activity. You can even go. One thing that I love to do, I have a frisbee. In fact, I got three frisbees, and I sometimes I randomly go out to the park and ask somebody if they want to play frisbee with me. You'd be surprised,
Wow.
and it's fun, and it's great cardio, and you can burn about 600 calories in an hour or more. So that's about the same as doing a jog,
Mm.
for an hour. So we got
Mm.
we got things like that that we can actually do to change. And is this all? Well, this is we're talking to healthy people that might be experiencing this. But again, there are
Mm,
other conditions that might be
at play.
present here. Might be present here. I also want to address something that King put into it. Into he says anxiety doesn't cause long term blood pressure, high blood pressure, but episodes of anxiety can cause dramatic temporary spikes in blood pressure. So that's our autonomous nervous system, our autonomous nervous system actually working. So in the presence of something like that, some anxiety is another form of fight or flight. So anytime that happens, what's happening in anxiety and in the face of fear or anything like that is automatically when adrenaline is introduced into the bloodstream, there is an automatic narrowing of the arterial wall of the
Mm.
arteries. Okay, so it preserves that, but other things happen. It does that for a reason. So when
Hmm.
you go into an episode of anxiety, that's exactly what's happening. Your body's responding as if there's a threat present, and so automatically there's adrenaline released, and also epinephrine and stuff like that
Hmm.
that's released, and then there's the narrowing of the arteries, and so that itself is what increases the blood pressure. And so
Mhm.
after the anxiety is gone, then the arteries begin to release again. Okay, so that's why there's a temporary. But think of how many people are chronically dealing with
Mm.
anxiety. Think of how many people are chronically dealing with depression. You know,
Mm,
how many people are chronically in a state of stress, you know, other forms of stress, you know. And remember, we create these conditions based on
Mhm.
the way we respond to things that we're involved in, you know, whatever event we're involved in. So now we got to talk about chronic stress and how that plays an effect, how that goes into uh, leads into chronic hypertension
Mm.
and other situations as well. Because remember, we talked last week when
yeah.
we were talking about diabetes, the same system that I was talking about then concerning the release of cortisol and things like that it spikes all your blood sugar and things like that, and it raises the blood sugar and can lead to diabetes. Remember, these same conditions can also lead to chronic hypertension. The very same.
Mhm.
So that's just saying that our bodies are not meant to deal with chronic stress, with prolonged stress.
No.
So you're going to have to learn how to curb that, how to curb.
Mhm.
Now, some stress in life is okay. Temporary moments of stress, that's okay. But you're going to have to keep yourself out of the mode of chronic stress, you know, because the whole time the blood pressure's up, especially in us. We are intense people. Okay. And
Mm.
by we I mean black folks. We are
Yeah.
intense people. Okay. And so there could be a correlation between that and the fact that we have the highest rating of
Mm.
hypertension in all other across all other racial ethnicities. All right. So there could be
Mhm.
something to that. But we've got to do is learn how to curve that back. Meditation practices is something we didn't talk about. Another thing that really curbs that stress response. All
Mm.
right, it really curbs it. Give your body a chance to reset and relax, and all
Mm.
systems turn back to normal with proper meditation techniques. You
Mm.
know. So anyway, I'll stop there. Go ahead, and, if you want to add something, beloved.
That reminded me of the class yesterday and what you said, how man is supposed to stay in a peaceful state. That was like
Mhm.
the number
Yes.
one. That was like the number one law. So I remember that. Also, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to hit on physical activity, getting out of the house. You mentioned going to the grocery store. They're making it so easy for us to stay at home.
Yes.
With these rising gas prices, you don't want to go anywhere. You have Instacart now where you can buy your groceries online and have them sent to your house. We have DoorDash and or in Uber. Um, all these shows, streaming platforms on your TV to watch anything that you want. So after you get off work, they make it hard for you to actually leave out the house
Mm.
because you can
Mm.
just pick up a
A lot of
phone.
temptations.
Yeah,
Temptations. Yeah.
you could just pick up.
Convenience.
hmm It's
Mm.
very
Absolutely.
convenient. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Get out the house because I'm not a grocery shopper, and if I do, it's late night when no one's
Mm.
there. I don't like a whole bunch of people. It's just and some people will find that kind of weird. I
Oh,
don't
those are
because
fun. I used to love doing that.
going
I
grocery
used to
at
love.
night.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's a
No
fun
one's
thing.
there. No one's there. So yeah, I love it. But getting out, swimming, the way the weather's been, that's not a bad idea, J Love. Go to the pool and it's low impact on you too.
Yes.
So yeah, I just wanted to add that. That'll be a good exercise to start off with if you're dealing with hypertension. Cut out your stress level.
Mhm.
Whatever's going on in your life
Mm-hmm.
that's causing you to be stressed out, cut it out, pluck it, root it out, throw it away, move on.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
Another
distress,
thing.
distress, because remember we talked about the two types of stress. So you got kids, okay? Kids, I
Well, you
mean, they
can't get rid of them. But if
kids
Yeah.
are
you
stressful
turn
too.
them,
So those are supposed to be good stressors. Now I understand,
right?
like some people got badass kids, but hey, That's a, there's some dharma work to be done there. Okay, there's some dharma work to be done there.
Right. And J Love, we're gonna get into the nutritional aspect of it in just a second. We'll
J
talk about
Love, you
salt.
got the number, girl. Call in. How are you doing? Oh, John, I can't with you right now. Oh my God. Alcohol. If you drink alcohol every day, you might want to cut back on that.
Mm,
What else? Smoking. If you smoke, stop smoking.
mm.
And I have down here too much salt in your diet. Now I'm on the panel with a nutritionist. You want to take control of that one?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's an element in salt that we're really talking about, and it's called
Mm.
sodium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's called sodium. Um, the thing about it is sodium is actually an electrolyte. It is electrically charged. It is also the opposite of potassium. Okay, which is polar opposite. They work together to keep a fluid balance inside and outside of the cells. When sodium is in excess or potassium is in depletion, then you're going to be pulling more water outside of the cell, which causes inflammation and
Strength.
increased hypertension, increased blood pressure. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so these things, so this is why that balance is important. Make sure you have a good ratio of potassium and sodium in your diet. Sodium and the daily recommended value of sodium, that, put it like this, the government regulation is 3,600 milligrams. And clinically, we have found problems happening above 1,600 milligrams. All right. So for some reason, the government wants you to go up to that level. You know why? Because at that point, that would quickly get you to the point to where they have to give you pharmaceuticals to control it. So don't take in that many. Keep your sodium levels below 1,600 milligrams a day. All right, so that's important. So that's where salt comes in, or sodium comes in to play. And remember, about everything has a level of sodium in it. It ain't just a table salt that you put on your food, but
Right.
it is a natural element within the earth. So it comes in a lot of green foods, a lot of vegetables and fruit and everything else that's already naturally there. All right. So make sure that you don't add them to it. Another thing to cut out is packaged meats, because those are preserved with sodium nitrates and sodium nitrites, which are also known carcinogens. These things are known to cause cancer. And on top of that, you get hypertension. All right. So bacon, hot dogs, bologna, press
Mm,
ham, all that stuff. Stay away from packaged meats, period, because
mm,
those are preserved. Canned foods are preserved with sodium as well. So
mm-hmm.
stay away. So make sure your food is fresh, and if you're going to use anything, learn how to use seasonings that are from herbs and things like that to season the food to give it taste. And if you're going to use any kind of salt, first of all, Himalayan salt. It has
Mm,
its natural antioxidants in it, and sprinkle it. Okay, just sprinkle, pinch it. You don't need to shake it on. All right, because you're going to make a mistake and give yourself too much. All right,
mm.
these things are important when it comes to that. Also, things that so there's a combination of amino acids that produces what we call nitric oxide, and we
Ooh.
get nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator, so it actually expands the arteries, and that
Mm-hmm.
itself can lower blood pressure as well. So that might be something that, we sell. We get those out of the vitamin shops and nutritional supplements, Al, and things like that. So that's readily available if
Mm-hmm.
you're really having an issue with it. Nitric oxide is good for the heart, or and it actually allows more oxygen to flow to the brain.
Yes.
you know, Good recovery and everything else on muscular contraction, which is also a high oxygen uh, requirement. Now, the thing about oxygen, though, introduction to oxygen also creates what we call oxidative stress.
Ooh.
Okay. So, again, that's something else we can go down. It's another rabbit hole, but you have to understand that oxidative stress produces free radicals in the
Mm-hmm.
blood, and that itself causes a whole host of issues. But it's a natural byproduct of
Mm-hmm.
the functioning of your
Right.
body. It's a natural byproduct. So this is why you need other nutrients there, like antioxidants, like vitamin A, vitamin E, and all these other vitamins to make sure that you're getting in your diet selenium. You can take in uh, things that are colored red and orange in your food, and that's going to provide beta carotene, which gets transformed into vitamin A in the
Mm-hmm.
body, which is a natural antioxidant. So is vitamin E. It's a natural green vegetables give you a bunch of vitamin E. Anything that's oily, naturally oily, not animal fat, but natural oily like almonds and things like that give you vitamin E in the form of tocopherol. And so these kind of things can actually help lower your blood pressure. One more thing, omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 fatty acids helps lower blood pressure as well. They help move fat out of the body, especially trans fats and things like that, these fats that are in the blood. But omega-6 have to be in a ratio of 1 to 1 with omega-3s.
Mm.
Omega-3s can promote inflammation and things like that, but omega sixes reduces inflammation and can also reduce the fatty bloods, the trans fats, and reduce high blood pressure as well. All right, drinking a lot of water. Water is
Mm-hmm.
important. A lot of people think if I drink a lot of water, it's going to increase my fluids. Actually, no. You have to think of this like this. This is the way the body has a bank account and it has its own intelligence. If you deny yourself adequate amount of hydration, the body's going to hold on to what it has. Okay,
Yep.
so it's going to, so we call that water retention, and that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
water retention can increase blood pressure. All right, it can increase adipose tissue inflammation, cellular inflammation. All right, so you start to feel tight and things like that. So drinking a lot of water, and we're talking about a minimum, and I say a minimum of 2 liters a day. Our
Mm.
body has our bodies has about 5 liters of blood in it. All right. So we need to be drinking at least half of that in water every single day. And it all depends on your level of activity. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
these are some things
Mm.
nutritionally that you can do. Take in some turmeric. Turmeric is good too for it.
Mm-hmm.
Turmeric is really good for that.
Yep.
So go ahead. You want to add anything, beloved?
No, I'm looking at my brothers. They
I got some omega 3s up here, and I got some turmeric up here too. I take three
Oh, you
thousand
asked the
milligrams
question.
of.
Well, so
I
I,
take
I
three
even see
thousand.
the question over here. He was asking what does nitric oxide do to blood pressure.
Uh,
Okay. I even know he asked the question.
okay. Oh, she'll get. I better.
That
You
was
want to?
me,
That was
Diamond. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's me.
yeah.
All that is me. I was putting that up there, even with the question. I was also giving an answer. But for everything
Hmm.
that I've been posting right now, and for the audience and fans, everybody that's watching, is basically parallel to everything that you're saying right now. So
I'll
whether
say.
from what you're saying, or if they were to just take time out and do their own research, everything that we say now, it goes together.
Okay.
Oh,
Mm, yeah,
yeah.
I
there we
am.
go.
Yeah, I'm a
There we
little
go.
late on that. I
Yeah.
was so excited about the intro. I forgot about
Yeah.
putting up the comments.
Yeah.
It's not
Now
my
is
fault.
this the way? Can we interact with the comments
From here,
from here?
it just
From
I think
here,
that's just a display.
it is
Oh,
just a
Well,
okay.
right there is just a display, but you can interact through your Facebook or your YouTube,
yeah.
Mm.
whatever you have linked. So, like if somebody from your friends list were to comment or say something, or
I
if you happen
see.
to see
Okay. I,
it,
I was
yeah,
wondering.
yeah.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
have mine up, but I'm not getting what I see coming up here is not coming up on mine.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
don't
another
nobody love
thing
me.
is when you go into the well, you know what? I will just say that
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get that.
because it was an error that I did before, and I fixed that, so I
Oh,
was able
okay.
to get those
Oh,
comments. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay, but that's you'll school me on that later.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Can we go back to J Love? She said frozen or fresh. Which
Really,
one?
either one. Frozen or fresh
Yep.
vegetables are good.
Mhm.
Either one is fine. You know,
Okay.
if you like the taste of frozen, that's fine. They last longer. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
fresh vegetables can only last you. They can be stored up to anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on what it is. But frozen
Right.
vegetable can be stored up for weeks or months. You know, so absolutely.
There you go. The swelling. Oh, okay. Hypertension, water retention. Yeah. I've seen it a
Hmm.
lot. And we have to, I come in and wrap their feet in the morning from their feet all the way up to their knees, to help
Yeah.
control that edema. And if you're not wrapping their legs correctly, you're actually causing more damage than good. You
Yes.
have to do a compression wrap. I call it the herringbone. And
Okay. You can
it's a,
do that. That's good.
yeah, yes. I take pride in my wraps. You know, I
I
hate to
know
come
that's
in
right.
and see someone with their legs just wrapped straight up. I was like, the nurse did not take her time to do that correctly, and it's not effective. It's not
Hmm.
effective at all. But it help pushes that water back up to the kidneys to help excrete it out. So yeah,
Hmm.
yes.
I say.
Well, thank you. Is there? You know, I don't know. I don't know where else to go.
Oh
The
no,
alcohol consumption.
I'm holding back. So go ahead.
Oh, wait a
Alcohol
minute.
consumption.
No, I do want to bring up this. Don't wait a minute because we had a conversation yesterday about
Hmm.
hypertension, and you were talking. I was like, wait a minute, don't say it. Wait till tomorrow. You know the causes of all of these conditions. We're not going to call them diseases, conditions, um, and how what? Oh God, you said it.
I remember. I
Environmental.
know what you're talking.
Yes,
It's all environmental,
it's
and
all environmental.
hmm so
All right.
this came up in my research because I ran into clients and patients that did everything right,
Mm-hmm.
even with the assistance of pharmaceuticals, can't seem to get the blood pressure down. Okay, so then I was like, well, what is it? What could that be? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so there is something I came across. Let me share something with you guys. Is it okay? Just so you can know it ain't just me.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Okay, share this website
Very.
with you guys. Let's see here.
I'm looking for it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
All right, I don't know if I'm gonna have audio, but we'll share this.
There it is. You have to show me how to do that.
All right,
There
so
it
you
is. There
guys
it
can
is.
see this. Uh-huh. So this right here, we have perfluoroalkyl substances, or we call them, PF, uh, is it PFAs, right? And so these are substances are associated with elevated blood pressure and hypertension in highly exposed young adults. And we know now that it's not just young adults, but here there was, so this talk about the study, but let's look down here at the background. So these PFAs are ubiquitous and highly persistent man-made chemicals widely used for a variety of commercial and industrial applications due to their grease, stain, and water repelling properties. Consequently, human exposure to PFAs is widespread and mainly occurs through ingestion of contaminated food and dust. Drinking water has been identified as a major source of exposure for many populations living near industrial and contaminated sites. All right. So PFA's exposure has been associated with a number of factors of cardiovascular disease, including dyslipidemia,
Leukemia.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
metabolic
Yeah.
syndrome, and thyroid disease. High blood pressure is one of the most prevalent conditions increasing the risk of cardiovascular events. All right. So I wanted to just point that out because now we can talk about this. So the thing about it is when I have clients asking me about that, I ask them these questions. Let me see, I wrote the questions down. So I asked them basically, how is your stress levels? What source of water do you drink from?
Mm.
What are you wearing? Are your clothes made of natural material? Okay, like cotton, bamboo, flax, anything in hemp, these kind of things. Because also we can get exposure to these PFAs through synthetic material. So a lot of people are wearing synthetic material in their clothes. And so you are exposed to these PFAs. And also if you're drinking purified water, and I'm about to step on a lot of toes here. So but purified water, or even if it's alkaline, alkaline water, but these types of water, see, he said women wigs. Yes, synthetic material. Is you actually right.
You know
Um,
what?
My
but
apologies.
it's
Wow. Put me out there like that.
No, no, no. I didn't do a such thing in a
We could have
private
I
chat.
talked about that chat. We could have went backstage.
but look, that's important because it ain't just women wearing wigs these days. All
Oh,
right,
yeah. Okay.
that's
Uh,
everybody's
oh
Fake
man.
beards.
fake
Okay.
beard. Exactly.
Okay.
So we got all
Mm,
this synthetic material that is actually bringing exposure, bringing us into contact with these PFAs. And these PFAs are these are that's that hidden exposure or hidden component to why people are experiencing elevated and chronic hypertension. This is why things that John and I suggest when it comes to exercise and diet, they should work. Stress management, all that should work once combined. But
mhm,
why are they not? It's because of overexposure to these other chemicals, these man-made chemicals that cannot be broken down. It takes them a long time. They're not
mm,
biodegradable. So they show up in the water. So if you're drinking water from the tap, that's going to be a problem. And trust me, purified water is from the tap. All right. That's why it's purified. And that's a whole nother thing that I can get into when we talk about what purified water does. We're talking about a accumulation of a group of elements called trihalomethanes that actually cause bladder issues and bladder cancer, reproductive problems, and things like that. So in purified water, because it's purified with chlorine. Okay. So we have to understand that these things contribute to chronic hypertension. All right. So I buy gallons and gallons a month of spring water. Spring water. That's coming from a natural source, you know. So anyway, so I'll leave it at that and open it up to my panel.
King
Go
I
ahead,
Newbern.
bro.
want to say, yeah, I want to say real quick. This is why I always dislike drinking purified water because I smell the chlorine in it and never understood why. Never understood why. What you doing, sis? What you doing over there? But brother Diami, how do you feel about distilled water? Because that's what I mainly drink, distilled water.
So distilled water, especially going through the process of osmosis first,
Uh-huh.
and then going through an extraction. So all distilled water is water without any of the elements in it. It's pure
Okay.
H2O, no other elements in it. And that's why they say drinking distilled water. It used to be this myth. It's never been proven to me, but they say if you drink it over a week, then it can leach the minerals out of your body because it's absorbing those minerals that have not been proven. But I can say distilled water is one of the things that I would highly recommend. The only thing is it's not as hydrating because true hydration comes with minerals like calcium,
Facts. Facts.
magnesium, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
That's true hydration, not just wetting it. Wetting it is not hydrating. Okay,
Facts.
but actual
Facts.
minerals is part of the hydrating process, and distilled water does not have those minerals in it. So it's good
Facts.
if you're supplementing or making sure you're getting those minerals in your diet, then distilled water is actually really good. as far as
That
that goes.
another thing to say based off what you just said, I will be under the impression to assume that you don't necessarily need to drink plenty of water per se, but if you eat plenty of fruits and vegetables that are mainly high in water content,
Mhm.
that can also help you become more hydrated.
It can have you definitely become more hydrated. But remember, there's still a minimum amount of hydration that we need. And if you think you can get 2 liters minimum of water out of vegetables and fruit, if you're doing it,
Right,
then
right, right,
hey,
right. Yeah, you do. Right,
they're
right.
yeah, you're good as far as that goes. So just make sure it's meeting your demand. Everybody has a level, a different demand levels for hydration of water a day, and it all depends on your activity. For people who work out, go to the gym, you're going to need more water. We drink about a gallon a day.
Mhm.
We drink about it. That's over 100 and some ounces. So we drink a gallon a day. So for people who are not that active, anywhere between 65 to 70 65 to 70 ounces will be fine. But if you're moderately active, definitely 2 liters, more than 80 ounces a day is going to be best for you. You know,
It's got a little smell to
picking
it. I
on.
can't drink it no more. I can't drink it no more. I don't want to drink it no more. I gotta go run to the store now and get me some spring water. I, and that's from the tap.
So,
St. Louis. I'm sorry. Go ahead. And
no,
I
I
wanted
was
to
just
add something.
Hmm.
I wanted to go back to what Diami was saying because when I was doing some research, I ran across this. It said in as many as 95% of all blood pressure cases in the US, the underlying cause can't be found. You just told us exactly what it was.
And I'm telling you, that's it. That's the
You just
culprit.
told us exactly what it was.
That's the culprit.
Mm, mm, mm.
uh brother Deon, I want to
Yes.
J
ask you,
Lo.
what do you feel? Yeah, I'm a read her comment. I was just gonna do this sis too. What do
Okay,
you
go
feel
ahead.
about they constantly pushing alkaline water, alkaline water, alkaline water?
I'm glad you asked that. I do have an issue with that. There is absolutely no need to be drinking alkaline water. That's another fad. It's another hype. Uh, if you think that it's necessary for you to drink alkaline water, then what you're doing is inadvertently admitting that your diet is too acidic. That's what
Mm.
you're admitting. Okay.
Mm.
Now,
I'm
and
glad you said
also,
that. Man,
well, and I would say now if you can use it as a treatment, but that's when you know that your blood pH is lower than the 7.3 minimum that it needs. Okay, so when your blood is lower than 7.3 pH, then your blood is too acidic. And if you cannot raise that with your normal diet, then I would say alkaline water is necessary, but nothing over 8.0. Nothing over. You don't need a 9.0 alkaline water. So nothing over 8.0, and that's just until you reach a blood pH between 7.3 and 7.5. That is the functional pH level of blood itself. Anything over leads to what we call hypernatremia, which is a condition of a blood pH that is too alkaline. Yes, there are problems up there, just like it's problems with blood levels that are too acidic. You see, we were made to be here in balance, not in one extreme or the other. All right, it makes sense. So I'm glad you asked that question, brother. That is a very relevant question.
two more questions. One of them, they love asks, what kind of water do you drink?
I have sparklets to deliver my water every month. Sparklets,
Mm,
and they have a an option for spring water. So I pay $1 more to get their spring water rather than their purified water. And you better know, you best to believe I grilled them when they talk about the spring water, and I say, "Where's it from?" They say, "Well, we get it from a natural source." What source? And so forth. So I made sure they had to tell me
Lord.
everything before I said okay, you know. So
Gotcha.
they gave me all kind of secrets. They ain't want nobody else to know. But yeah,
What?
yes, yes. So find somewhere where you can get that, or like I say, if you can go and find the distilled water, but you again you'll be responsible for making sure that your mineral content is up.
Mhm.
Okay, is fulfilled if you're gonna be drinking distilled water. All
That's a
right.
good one. That's a good one.
I'm looking for
Brother,
this water.
real quick, brother,
I'm looking for this water.
just for representation purposes, only for those that might be their first time actually chiming in. If you don't mind,
Yes.
can you give a synopsis or a subscription of the knowledge you have acquired for those that may feel like you might be a scholar, a PhD, things that they like from your credential standpoint. And the only reason why I ask that because you always have something he said, and
Mm.
that's one of the main reasons why I emphasize sister, to tread
Very
lightly
light.
in certain, yeah,
Very
lightly in
light.
certain cases. Because we could become a hashtag and go viral for the wrong thing.
That's right. That's right.
I
That's
want
right.
us to go viral. I hope one day we do go viral
I
soon.
say.
I would
What,
love
what,
Yes,
to
please,
have
please,
thousands of
please.
thousands on. Yeah, because I'm gonna speak it into existence. You know how I am when I get to talking.
yes.
Yes, I
So make
want
sure
that.
y'all share this video. In other
Share
words,
it,
keep sharing,
please.
sharing,
Yeah,
sharing.
sure.
Don't keep this
Yeah,
Yeah,
information to yourself.
the
yeah. As long as we stay
information
on
that
So
the seven, as long as we stay on 7.0, 7.3,
that's right.
non side of being positively being shared.
Wow. Yeah,
Right,
getting
right.
burned.
There you go. Just to oblige you, brother. So I have I hold a bachelor's of applied science in exercise science, physiology, and anatomy, and also orthomolecular nutrition. And within those degrees, I also hold certifications of myofascia and trigger point release therapy, corrective exercise, and also uh, a clinical from the American College of Sports Medicine. I hold a clinical certification for applied nutrition in sports nutrition. Okay, applied sports nutrition, and so all of this, and I've been in this career for almost 30 years now. I've been
Hmm.
applying this to client case studies and things like that. And when I tell you, while I was in college, I was in the lab. So most of the stuff I tell you is stuff I've seen for myself, not the studies that I've read, not any of that. Is stuff that I've seen happen. I put this stuff into practice, experimented with it, so I can see it for myself in various situations and conditions. So just so you know, so hope that helps everybody. Let you know I'm not just anybody out here spewing this type of knowledge and this is science. It's science, and it's not to be taken lightly. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
yeah,
sir. I say. Yes, sir. That's
you
so
know
beautiful, man.
it is. I don't have anything to say. I
I was
really
gonna
don't.
I was gonna add, with him saying that, this is a nice little segue for that. Um
Mm,
what it really comes down to, guys, is or audience members, is this condition is ultimately created mainly with the combination of environmental factors, genetic factors, but also largely lifestyle factors. Okay, so you really got
hmm
to think in terms of lifestyle. What are the choices that you're making on a daily basis? I mean, every choice that you're making thousands, hundreds of choices per day that can create this condition within yourself. Your heart is tied to all of this. The way that your
that's right.
energy flows in your veins, in your body, it's tied to all of this. And you have to recognize your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your environment. What are you choosing to do in terms of your sleep? Are you really getting restful sleep? right? Really think about this question for a moment. Just and this is just one lifestyle trait, one lifestyle habit that's really important in terms of affecting the conditioning of this. What could you do with 8 hours of sleep consistently? Just imagine 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You go to sleep at 10, 10 o'clock, right? And you don't wake up. Now, I've heard this a lot. I've heard people talk about their sleep a lot. Imagine what 8 hours does for your body the next day. What is your mood like when you're really rested?
Wonderful.
How much energy do you have throughout the day compared to if you only got 3 hours of sleep? Now, I understand it's subjective, but we're talking about chronically not getting the sleep because the body can only do so much, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
placing that stress, that demand, like you're not giving your body the recovery it needs. So you're exerting, stressing, challenging. At some point, the car is going to break down.
You're gonna
Bringing
crash.
it back to sleep. You get your 8 hours of sleep. That affects your mood. That affects your energy levels, which all influences your productivity. It influences your relationships. All that stuff ends up coming back. If you got a bad mood, that hampers on your relationships, and you're chronically doing that, you're not going to have that relationship anymore. That could have been a lifeline for you. How is it going to affect your employment if you're calling in sick all the time? You're too tired. You're a laborer, but you can't put anything on the shelf. You think anybody's going to hire you, knowing that that's a liability to the company? Oh, can't eat now, survival mode. Oh, how am I gonna? Your livelihood is at stake here. It's your life. You're here to create. But how can you create if you're not even making the effort to maximize your capacity? Something as simple as drinking um, two liters of water, getting your 8 hours of sleep, adding more vegetation to your diet, walking for 30 minutes a day. These are just lifestyle choices and they're small. You're choosing the drinks that don't have the 21 grams of added sugar, right? You're not choosing the uh the the saturated fatty foods. You're choosing not to smoke. And again, you watch TV, you come home from a long day at work and you watch TV, you grab yourself a beer, right? Or three, or you have yourself, a glass of wine, or you take the whole bottle, right? You're not, your salt intake is too high. And that's probably because of your cultural influences, your stress management. You could be doing yoga, meditation. You could be listening to soothing music. You could be just sitting in silence. Your work life balance, it's non-existent. You don't have a work life balance. Your work life is imbalanced. You're not limiting your refined carbs. All these things contribute to this condition. These are choices that you're making, right? And yet, also at the same time, we're operating in an environment, institutions that also influence the likelihood and the access you have to health. Some people can't be healthy because they don't have access to the resources that would improve their health. And we say that it's systematically designed. Yeah, you got to vote for some of this stuff too. And for some people, unfortunately, due to the color of their skin or some other factors, they don't have access. So,
We're gonna talk about
you
that too
have
later on in the show.
on the larger factor, we're looking at a culture here that is basically saying that hypertension is okay. It's acceptable.
Mm,
It's a fact of life. And the value for life in that regard. What are we really communicating when we're saying hypertension is okay? What are we saying about ourselves? If someone were to tell me, hey, John, because of your demographic, because of these variables that are specific to you, you are at a risk of hypertension. You're not going to make it past 51. I could say, oh, that's fine. It's okay. I don't live past 51. I could say that. Or I could be concerned and say, well, why 51 if the average American lives up to 75? Why am I cut down to 51 and they get 75? Hmm? What makes them so special? John, I mean, it's just how it is. Why?
Right.
Well, I mean, let's start with your race, John. Your race. But yeah, my skin color has nothing to do with this. Oh no, it's not your skin color, John. It's what's associated with your skin color. There's a culture, a consciousness associated with your skin color that's going to influence your behaviors towards these conditions.
Facts.
Can I change my conditions? Oh yeah, you can. It'll be hard, almost impossible, but yeah, you could do it. Well, where do I get
Mm.
the resources? You're going to have to do it like everybody else. So,
Do the work.
I'm not even
Mm.
informed. I'm not even informed, empowered to take responsibility of my health. The prospect of me having hypertension, like if it's almost like my genetic destiny, I guess you could say, my cultural destiny for me to
Yeah.
experience this condition to the point of heart failure. If it's already predisposed, it's like there's something I could do about that. Someone tells me that, and I say, there's something I can do about that. So here's where prevention comes in, folks. Because prevention is proactive, intervention is reactive. The car done broke down, and now you're doing something about it. But you could have done some things beforehand that were least expensive, mind you, because whenever there's an intervention, it's expensive. It's always going to be more expensive than the prevention. It's the small things and consistently doing the small things to create this static condition. We're not saying you will never experience hypertension. We're implying that you reduce the risk, you reduce how early it comes on. I moved the goalpost from 51 to 84. How much life did I buy myself? How much time did I buy
Mm.
myself? How much joy and peace did I buy myself in life? Because you got to admit, when you have a physical ailment, it upsets the other aspects of your being. You're not just a physical being. What does hypertension do to your lifestyle? And then what does that do to your mentality, your worldview of life? You're limited. And you're looking out there like that's what limited you, but it started with you. This whole thing started with you. You decided, nah, I don't need to exercise. Nah, I'm okay with drinking this. Hey, I mean, these greens, man, these greens, okay. And then something happens, and now you're concerned. Now you're focused.
I
And
say.
even then, you're not even fully awake. You're still not even awake. And it's okay. It's a choice, right? But again, it's our culture.
Facts.
Part of the reason some of us don't care is because no one else really showed us to care. You didn't have that model of healthy behavior. Hey, I love myself. I love myself so much. I'm going to indulge a little bit, but I'm going to always be consistent in my regimen. That's how
Mm.
much I love myself. I'm going to love myself to go to the gym, or I'm going to love myself to go out here and walk. I'm going to love myself enough to go throw this frisbee with somebody I don't know. I'm gonna love myself to drink this spring water. I'm gonna love myself. That's what we're talking about here, folks. Prevention, intervention, necessary. But you'll discover if you commit to your intervention that in your recovery is really your prevention at that point. You were supposed to have been doing that anyways. And so now you're doing it so that you can recover, so that you can return. And it may not be the way that you wanted it to, But again, it gives you something to think about, and then you become an advocate for this. You experience it, you woke up, you realize, dang, I didn't even have to do that. This is why it happened to me. But more importantly, you took responsibility for your health. So, black men out there, are you going to wait until something happens? Car crashes, vehicle breaks down, temple starts to crumble. Is that when you're going to do something about it? When it's the most expensive?
Mm,
That's
mm,
peace right there, John.
it
Big time,
was.
big time.
Yeah.
Want to throw something out there real quick. Uh, First, let me get to brother Dre.
Right.
He pointed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah.
pointed out uh, had 8 hours of sleep in 20 years. He also pointed out, what do you do when the body is trained to operate off of minimal sleep?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he says, I have been in the mode one since he joined the military.
Military.
Um,
Hmm.
I want to add, piggyback off of brother John, but then also leave the table open for brother Diamond. When you lack certain resources, tools, knowledge, information, it does critically affect your environment, like John broke down. And that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it, like John said, love yourself, you got self of having knowledge. We get this term, this statement confused, having knowledge of self. Knowledge of self, 100% of what we're talking about, which is mental health, everything that goes along with that. If you can't understand nothing else, understand taking the time out to master who you are. It's true, like John said, when you have an accident, then you go to the hospital, man, your blood pressure's through the roof. Well, it ain't necessarily just the accident, because the accident is a trauma within itself. And that does change your blood pressure. Outside of that, well, let's take a think about the environment in which you are in. You could be suffering from PTSD. You could be suffering from the fact that you have a very, very poor diet. You could be suffering from the fact that the last time you picked up a weight, went for a walk, or just been in a healthy environment, period, where peace is innovated, could have been 10, 20 years. And now all of a sudden, this accident has woken you up to the point, like John said, you're awake now. You're fully aware of these diagnoses of things that are treatable. I'm not going to say cured, say treatable. And you have 100% control over them, but you still choose otherwise. And then, like you said, you go from possibility could have been 84 goalposts. Now you're down to 51, maybe. That's a scary thought. That's a scary thought. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave it back over to brother Dami. I just had to say that part.
All right. And thank you for that. And that was a lot of gems dropped in what you just said, brother.
It
A lot of
was.
gems.
It was.
Um, so just
Appreciate it.
addressing that, when he's talking about getting a minimum of sleep, um, what's your idea of the minimum? The very minimum that the body needs of rest, and we ain't talking about just laying down, closing your eyes. We're talking about quality sleep is between 7 and 9 hours a day. So that's why we always say get 8 hours. So that's the medium right there. But why is this? Why is this? Because for one thing, there are certain toxins that the body can only release when the body has more than 3 hours of quality sleep. Then, and these toxins, when they're not released, when you don't get the amount of rest to release these toxins, they build up in the brain and they cause chronic illnesses as well. And they say that even those toxins have been linked to Alzheimer's and dementia and other diseases as well, mental illnesses as well. And let alone hypertension, because the body doesn't have the time to normalize. Now, because remember, if you're doing your timing right, your meal timing right, and let's just say about 6 o'clock in the between 6 and 7 o'clock is your last meal, and you don't eat again until about 8 o'clock the next morning, you have a period of fasting. This is why the first meal of the day is called breakfast. It means to break a fast. That's why it's called that. So that fasting Then there is a process where the body consumes all the toxins and all the trash within the cells, all the unusable cells and things like that. It consumes it, and then it excrete it out through your waste. If that doesn't get to happen, then this does contribute to hypertension. It can. So this is how. So even Brother King had put up. He commented, hypertension and insomnia are very common and often coexist. So insomnia is not your friend. Okay, staying up all night and being able to go at it. Once your body after 30, after the year 30, your body is trying, it has no more to give you. It gives you all the way up to the first 30 years of your life for development. So your body, you're not even done developing for 30 years. That means your body's recovering faster and all this kind of stuff. It might can get away with that minimum sleep. But after 30, you on the decline. After for every 10 years, the body, there's a decline of the metabolic, as a metabolic decline of 1%. So your body starts to decline, that fast. So you have less time for recovery. You have, as your metabolism slows, you're going to accumulate more adipose tissue, which is subcutaneous fat. So we even account for that in our measurements, body composition measurements. It all depends on your age, how much is allowed to, before we say you're overweight or obese. That number gets higher as you get older. So you got more room to be fat, in other words, as you get older. All right. But the thing about it is, when it comes to hypertension and other chronic illnesses, sleep is the point to where we get back into a state of homeostasis and we stay there for hours in quality sleep. So I say always check that. And Brother Dre, if there's an issue, especially with your military experience, that's prohibiting you from getting enough sleep, then I would say go find something to do about that. When I say issue, we're talking about either PTSD or even that type of conditioning that you having to wake up and things like that, only getting this much of sleep, and none of that stuff is healthy. None of that stuff is healthy. It was to train your mind, because the military is a mental game. Is to train your mind so that you can become a survivalist and a soldier, and be something to reckon with. But that's not something you need in normal everyday society as a civilian. You have to get your rest. You have that's I can't stress how important that is. That's why I was telling God level that after you work out, the most important meal of the day is not breakfast, it's your recovery meal. That's the most important meal of the day. Once you recover, okay, that's it, because that's what's going to repair the body and things like that. All right. So all of that's important, and then to add that with an adequate amount of rest, so the body can also repair itself at that time. All right. Now, if y'all don't mind, I don't know, you can't see the comments I'm getting on my feed, can you? Okay, seafood. So we'll talk about that too, seafood.
Okay.
But so the one of my best friends in the world, her name is, I call her Zelly, but she's commenting also on my feed. And let's see, she was, oh, this is something I know about her. She says she's trying to be healthy, but sadly, I'm allergic to produce. I am working on a plan for a spiritual change. So she's allergic to produce. Um, for the life of me, I can't figure that out. There are some I've met. She's not the only one. I've met some people that are allergic to produce, and all I can say it. And we're gonna have to do a whole thing on nutrition maybe one day, but it could be because of the um, lack of lack of vitamins that's introduced in commercialized farming, and also the overexposure of toxins. That could be what you're actually allergic to, because the body is actually designed for nutrients. It's designed for phytonutrients, macro and micronutrients. That we get from produce. So if that's the case, then I would say supplement. Make sure that you're taking a vitamin, one that's highly bioavailable. And what I mean by that is not these tablets that's full of fillers and things like that, um, but one that's liquid or something in a powder form. Those are better. You have things like vitamin B12 and vitamin D and vitamin D3. That's good in sublingual tablets. That way it gets straight into the blood system instead of having to go through the digestive system where you can lose over 90% of the vitamin itself. It gets destroyed in the digestive process. So take those in sublingual forms. I have all mine in sublingual forms. Okay. And so these are some things that you can also do, because nutritional deficiencies can also lead to all these chronic health issues as well, because your body don't have the ingredients it needs to counteract it. All right. It needs all the ingredients is the micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, and phytonutrients. All right. So all that's important. And so speaking of which, the seafood, seafood is now when we're talking about minerals, seafood has a lot of benefits. Um, but when it comes to things like shrimp is high in cholesterol. So if you have high cholesterol, I would avoid shrimp. All right. When it comes to beautiful, good tasting fish like salmon and some other good fish, they are high. A lot of them are high in mercury. Okay, and we're talking about, and we right now I'm just talking about wild caught. They're high in mercury. This is why the forming of fish came about, but they bastardized it by creating feed pellets that were more full of more hormones than anything. So this is why you don't want to get farm raised fish. They actually raise a greater concern than the wild caught ones with high levels of mercury. Okay, so
Mhm.
there are things that you can actually eat to keep mercury from binding to the hemoglobin in your blood cells. There are certain and I have to get that list for you. I don't have it for in front of me right now. All right. But one of the fish that's actually that you can get that's really good for you is high in omega 3, high in omega 6, and this is albacore tuna, and it's very
Yeah.
low, the lowest fish in mercury. So that type of seafood is very good. Um, and see what else. Anything like kelp or any kind of seaweed is going to be some of the best. Things like spirulina. Spirulina actually has all of the essential amino acids present in it. All of it. So, and these are superfoods, very superfoods. You can heal yourself like no other way by eating foods that come from the sea. Okay, so that's very important. They have a plethora of amino acids, uh, um, of other nutrients that you can't even get from land. you know so I would highly suggest that, and also you got things like iodine that comes in shrimp. That's a good thing about shrimp, is high in iodine. Any kind of shellfish, crabs, lobster, any kind of shellfish is very high in iodine. That's good for thyroid function, which is linked to your metabolism. So if you're suffering from hypothyroidism and a low metabolism, then this is where you want to actually include some shellfish in your diet. you know and things
Mhm.
like kelp, and I'm saying kelp, KELP, not kale. Kelp, that's the seed
Yeah.
plant. All right.
Okay.
So these kind of things, so these are all important, and they actually help lower blood pressure as well, on top of all that. Yes, ma'am.
J Love asked about oysters and mussels.
Well, if she know about those, I can only ask why she's. Well, I can only wonder why she's asking about those. Very,
Mm.
very nutritious. Number one, but they're also high in cholesterol, so you got to be careful with that. But these are
Mhm.
also they're high in the amino acid L-arginine, which becomes a kind of an aphrodisiac or something that actually helps out with. sexual stimulation, these kind of things. That's why these things actually are associated with romantic meals. Okay.
Blood
A little bit of
flow.
wine.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of wine.
The natural Viagra right there, you know.
Yeah.
So
Which one for
yeah, so
dessert?
it's
Let me get a slice of watermelon.
right.
Oh my God. That word has came up not once, not twice, but 3 times tonight.
What,
You know,
watermelon?
se-
There you go. Good job, God level. Good job.
Okay.
yeah. Oh my God. We're coming up on, well, we're an hour and 35 minutes in. Um, this has been a good show tonight. A lot of information has been put out there concerning hypertension. All of our topics are under the umbrella of things that people don't want to talk about. A lot of us grew up in a household. We were raised on soul food, a lot of pork this, a lot of pork that.
Mm.
Very little activity unless sports was involved. Diet wasn't a good diet, wasn't really pushed. So a lot of us um, headed in the wrong direction as far as diet is concerned. Surrounded by a lot of fast foods, even now we have fast food everywhere. It seems like the wrong food is always so easily accessible than the right food. They're keeping us comfortable at home with making everything at the, so you're going to have to get out and exercise. Um, so much we hit on, especially the nutritional fact with Diamond. Thank you for that. You speechless. I'm honored to have you here. I'm honored to have you here. My brother John, yeah, you know, he put it out there. What are you gonna do? You're gonna wait till your the car is basically your body if you did not catch that.
Yeah.
True vessel.
That's it.
That's the true vessel. Your car, that's your body. Are you gonna wait till your body breaks down before you decide to fix it, or are you gonna do prevention and go ahead and stop doing certain things to add value or maintain? My brother Dion, he came with
Who?
the three type. I'm sorry, King Newborn. Thank you for that correction.
Who've been dropping some facts and some gems in the comments all night.
If I should have had the comment section up from the very beginning where he was
Yeah.
dropping. He broke down. Now I gave the flat out definition for hypertension, but there is 3 stages of hypertension, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, and he put the definitions into the comment section. So yeah, I like how it all flowed.
I say. I
You know,
say.
That's peace.
tonight
That's
was
peace. That's
good.
peace.
A lot of our topics are going to be geared toward mental health and health wise. These are this is information that was not given to us coming up.
Right.
We're going to put all of this
To
out there. Next week, Diamond gave me another topic to talk about. I wanted to see how you all feel about it. Obesity.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really, John?
Ooh wee. Ooh wee. Ooh
Don't
wee.
forget meditation lessons. That is on the list. Meditation is on the list as a topic. Accountability in therapy is on the list as well. So I wanted to see how you all felt about obesity. Do you want to talk about that next week, or do you want to go ahead and jump into accountability in therapy?
It don't even matter. They
I
coming. So
mean,
sooner or
yeah, they
later.
all coming, but yeah, either
Yeah,
way it go, because we ain't going nowhere. We're here for the community. That's
That's
the
right.
main focus.
really
Yeah,
are.
we're here for the
Um,
community. Yeah.
we really are. I love the positive feedback that we get from people that are watching us. Um, share it. This is one of those podcasts that we're just putting out good information for our people, and that's what I love
I
about it.
say.
Good, good, positive information. As you can see, if you've been watching us, there's no fights, only understanding, only peace, only love, and that's what we're here for. So yeah, does anybody have anything they want to add?
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to wish everybody well and just let you know that every syllable that comes out of my mouth, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody else on this panel, uh, is laced with love, the utmost divine love, and
Yeah,
consideration and concern for your health and your well being. To foster a life of peace and happiness. So please, all of it is out of love. So please take it and apply it to your lives. So that's all I wanted to say.
yeah. Because I can't drink tap water no more. It smells funny.
Yeah, don't be drinking tap water.
Like, what is? And
Because
I'm
we get into those ingredients, you're gonna wish we stopped a long time ago.
Right,
you need to
right.
send me the name of the water company that you're using so I can see if they offer it here down here in St. Louis. I would love
Okay,
that.
it's either Sparklets or Ozarka. Ozarka is a good water company as well,
Oh,
and
Oh, Martha is in Texas.
yeah, and you can even find if you find water stores around your neighborhood. Water stores do, although they use very complex filtering systems and stuff
Hmm.
like that, but it's still tap water. And I have a water store right up the street from my house, and but it was bloating me. So I had to stop drinking that water. It was filtered. I checked out, seen their filtering system, reverse osmosis, all these things, but it was still bloating me. So I had to get another water source. So that's why I went with Sparklets, and I've been cool ever since.
Mm-mm-mm. I hate when that happens. As soon as we get ready to get out, more people jump into the room. Where y'all been?
Uh, that's peace that they jumped into the room. They
I
may
mean,
came
they
late,
jumping in the
but we
room right
still
now.
here.
Yeah, we get ready to
Yeah, we
get off.
still here. We
John,
still here though. Each and every Sunday, at
yes.
7 p.m. We are here. We are.
Next week we're going to talk about obesity. And I think that we should go into talking about nutrition, especially milk. We should hit on.
Yeah, we should definitely hit on that. Also, my buddy Akhenaten, he wants to hit on he wants to hit on the correlation between blood types and dietary needs. We're gonna hit that next week on. We'll talk about that next week during obesity. We'll talk about that.
Why you,
That's beautiful.
brother? Why you look like that? When I said that milk is
Because hey, man, look, when I first
we
we ain't
go
even got
ahead.
time to talk about milk right now. We ain't even got time to talk about milk right now. Like for real, for real. Like serious.
We sure
The way
don't.
that they break down, man, time to talk about milk now.
Your whole
And
facial expression was like, yeah, milk,
man,
dairy, period,
dairy period.
Yeah.
Dairy
dairy,
Yeah.
period.
period. You know.
Um,
Okay.
real quick on my end, I just want to say, first and foremost, please, 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 please understand. I said this last week. Experience trumps knowledge and information all the time.
I say.
All the time. Mainly because it's a trial and error, but you actually have to apply what you know, the information you know.
Oh, we
Go
talked
ahead.
about that application. It's
Application.
one
Application,
thing to
application.
know the information.
That's right.
Yeah, but
Application.
Right.
are you applying? Are
Because
you
there
applying?
is no information that is absolute. There is
Right.
no
Exactly.
information that's absolute.
Yeah.
So even some things will work more better for others than other people. It all depends on your unique situation. That's why you need to
yeah.
see what works for you. That's
Facts.
important to
Facts.
understand.
And
Mm,
what I
mm,
was
mm.
trying to allude to with that, once again, first, let me say, my sister, greatly appreciate you. Greatly appreciate you.
I say.
Sometimes we don't acknowledge why we make decisions when we make.
Mm-hmm.
But it alters our path. And John pointed that out. Yeah, when you make a certain decision, the universe responds. It can be negative, it can be positive. But when the universe responds, it is an actual duality based off the decision that you make. It's gonna come back. And I'm saying all this to come to self-care, self-love, self-maintenance, self-awareness, or being awake of. And we have this beautiful panel because of the decision you made.
I say. I say.
We have a great panel right now, and I'm grateful for brother Diamond, because he's an elder. And
He
please
is.
don't confuse the word elder as being old. That's not what elder is.
Mm.
That is not what elder is. In this particular case, on this panel, he would be considered to be grand. He would
Mm.
to be supreme council. That's
Yep.
when I say
Yep.
elder. So I say
Yep.
it with
Yeah.
much respect
Yeah.
and high regards because I be such. And I
Yep.
appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
brother
brother.
Diamond. And
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm.
thing is, brother Master John Skywalker pointed out, he saw us. We didn't search for him.
Mm-hmm.
He saw us.
That's right.
That's very
That's right.
important. That's very important. So for elder to say, hey, I see you guys have something.
Yeah, man.
This is why to you that I dearly love, and I'm glad that we are in the space that we are in now. I said we have to solve. We got an elder. Like just look at him as Supreme Council. We have an elder that's speaking life into what we have going on right now.
Um,
That means we have to move light in the pathway of giving him honor and reverence. So
as I
this
do the
is
same for you.
heavy peace, and I love it. But this is heavy accountability. Heavy accountability. So we can't move out of balance no more. That's it several times today. Move out of balance no more. Think about that. You can't move out of balance no more. And this is a part of the environment that we're creating for everybody to continue to watch, to be able to build, understand, and grow from.
Okay. We're gonna
It's
have to
very
talk about
important.
that. We're gonna have to talk about that
Very
backstage. We're gonna
important.
have to talk about that backstage. Yeah. Okay.
I say.
With that being said, I want to thank
Mm,
everyone for
please.
jumping in on tonight's live. Tonight's topic was hypertension. We dropped a lot of jewels. I'm sorry, Diamond and Master John Skywalker
We
dropped
did.
a lot of jewels. My brother King Newborn dropped a lot of jewels. So, so please, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Please share it. The music that you're hearing in the background right now is Master John Skywalker. He is available. All of his music is available on all streaming platforms. Diamond, check out Soul Vision Healing. He is an ancient African spiritual science teacher. And King Newborn is available all what is social platforms?
That's on social
I
media
mean
platforms. That's good.
social media
Newborn
platforms.
everything. Yep. Newborn everything.
Newborn Earthing. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now let me see if I can do this right.